Hey everybody, this is Joe Rogan here with Duke Roufus University. Joe, man, he's awesome. I got to play at the Casa de Rogan today, and I'm in the awesome gym of Joe Rogan. This is one of the best gyms I've ever seen at a house, and Joe's going to show us some technique today.
Well, there's a technique that is a traditional Taekwondo technique that you're starting to somewhat see in MMA and a little bit in kickboxing, and it's to kick off of the front leg and then in mid-kick switch to the back leg. So you're doing like a double kick, and you're doing it in the air. And guys that get good at Shogun has attempted this before. I believe he did it in Pride, but this is a perfect kick for somebody like Anthony Pettis, who's got great leg dexterity and a great traditional martial arts background. So what you're doing is you can either do it from the back leg, you can do it like this, and then in the middle after the kick switch to it, or you could do it off the front leg where you can switch and then switch. And so we'll do it off the back leg first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick. The first one, I'm really just kind of touching. I'm just kind of touching and then setting up the back one. So I touch with this one, and I'm setting up the back one, so I'm doing it mid-air. So you might defend the first one and not even think the second one's coming. So I'm just switching my hips in air, and you can get a surprising amount of power in this.
I'd like to add too, I mean, if you guys at home don't think this, dude, he's mangling that bag. Check this out. If you love Muay Thai, no one does this kick. Sanchez or Kingstar, Samwhat Kam Singh. DeBont, who's fighting in Glory this weekend, threw it in the last fight too.
Yeah.
This is like a totally relevant kick. That's what I really like. You know, Joe and I were talking about retro techniques, and this is retro Rogan technique. Says we should start a new series, the retro Rogan technique.
I got a lot of retro stuff in my arsenal. And then you could also do it off the front leg. Basically the same thing. Do it off the switch. But it's just, the first one's just a touch. The second one is the big one. You can do it off a front kick. Some guys like to do it like that. We like to do it like this. But you can also, the spinning kick in the air, Raymond Daniels did it.
Yeah, that was, I think, knockout of the century.
Beautiful kick. And he did it off of touching with this foot here, with the back leg like this, and then spinning in mid-technique with the side kick. That's what he did.
And then as well, Anthony tried that against Clay Guida off the cage. So, I mean, this, if you want to become a good cage striker, I'd say like these techniques that Joe's showing you right here is the beginning of doing, you know, as you can see, Joe's got wall mat cage. That if you can't do this, you can't do the cage strike, right, Joe?
I agree. I think you're going to see a lot of these techniques too, because in MMA especially, you see a lot of switching of stances. You see kicks thrown and missed. Guys get caught in different positions. Whenever you're throwing kicking, there's always an opportunity to fight off of different stances. And I think the more you can fight switching stances and do different techniques, the more you make yourself unpredictable. The more you set up things like 360 techniques. I seen a video with Amagov, Adlan Amagov, who's a devastating guy. He threw a 360 wheel kick. The guy never knew it was coming because they're standing there, they're fighting, and you just sit, you know?
Yeah.
Because you don't know, on the first step, it's just not a normal thing to see people do, is step and then throw the technique. But if you can get a guy to stand still for that, or set that up and get a guy to fall for it, I mean, you're like sprinting at him. You generate so much momentum, like especially a 360 side kick. That wasn't a good one. I kind of slipped off of that one.
No, it's pretty good, Joe. No, I think even Saturday in the Big Glory, Last Man Standing, Stoyelka, he's very unpredictable. Wayne Barrett is unpredictable. We're going to see, again, I think just DeBont throws these kicks. Even Bazooka Joe grew up doing TKD. I think that's the next evolution, is the retro techniques of striking. I mean, surprise attack is the best attack.
Yeah, I think we're seeing more wheel kicks. We're seeing more spinning side kicks. And we'll see this.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the Pettis boys are throwing the handstand kick. Brian Ebersol, the cartwheel kick. The Rolling Thunder kick by David Kiria and Glory. Back in the day, who is it? The Rolling Thunder knocked out Badr Hari, Peter Graham.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't love those highlight reels? I don't care what style you are. A fun kick is a fun kick. I mean, probably one of the bigger wins recently in UFC was Renan Baral's spin the same kick as well. I mean, you were there. You called that fight.
Yeah. Barral, he likes to throw that spinning back kick to the face, which is a great technique too. Catches guys under the chin. And his ground game is so good, he wants to get you to the ground anyway.
Well, wouldn't you say that's the key, like, to being, if you're going to be awesome, if you're an MMA fighter, you better be able to fight off your back if you're going to take those chances, right?
Well, also, I think it's huge for kickboxers. For a kickboxer, one of the most important things is having a great guard. Because that way you're not afraid of throwing kicks.
Yeah.
Not afraid of throwing high kicks, throw all these things, wind up on your back, you're just attacking from your back.
I think, like in glory kickboxing, if you're a good spin kicker, you better be a good puncher. That's actually what set up the knockout for Raymond Daniels. He was smoking Ambang with his hands. He dropped Ambang with a nice counter punch, and that's what Daniels did really cool. He knew the blood was on the water, and he jumped him on it like a shark with that beautiful spin kick. And that was textbook fighting. He rocked him with hands, he got up, knocked him out.
Yeah.
So again, I'd like to thank Joe Rogan. You know, if you don't tune in, later we're going to be doing the Joe Rogan Experience, his podcast. I'm so honored to be here. It's going to be more than kickboxing, martial arts life. It was voted one of the top comedy podcasts in the world many years over already. And just so many, I've learned so many things about life and things of that nature. I don't need to read books as much as tune into Joe's show. He has some incredible guests there.
Well, every time I get a chance to work out with you, I learn all sorts of new stuff about striking, and more importantly for me as a commentator, insight into how you're coaching your guys.
Well, no, what was really cool is I actually, learned a few kicks today with Joe. I'm always trying to look for that special ingredient. So Joe taught me something today I can't show you guys yet. I got to go home and work it in the lab. I'm going to actually send a video this week, and Joe is going to correct me at home, and he's going to tell me if we're doing it right or not. It's just fun. That's what martial arts is about. You get people who love this. You know, I'm in Joe Rogan's think tank, his home lab. It's an honor to be here. Thanks, everyone tuning in. What do you want to plug, Joe?
Well, I just want to say that I think that what we're seeing now is, in the beginning of MMA, you couldn't just get away with having a Taekwondo background because it was too easy to take guys down. Too many wrestlers, too many jiu-jitsu guys, it's too easy. And then leg kicks came around. And guys who, from a Taekwondo background, traditionally don't know how to check leg kicks. They don't know what to do with them. So that became an issue with them. But once you see a guy that has a traditional martial arts technique, or a background rather, that has all the other techniques, like a Lyoto Machida, then you're seeing all this other stuff come into play because Machida can do everything. And there's an added element. He's standing totally different than everybody else. He's standing like this. Like you saw a little bit of that with Ryan Jimmo. Ryan Jimmo stands a little bit like that. And if a guy's really good and he stands like that, it's a totally different element. And plus, they have that ability to leap in and out, that point fighting style.
Well, I think, like you're saying, where do you find sparring for guys like that? That's something I've tried to do with some of our Roufus sport guys, is create a style that's hard, similar to what our friend Eddie Bravo's done with jiu-jitsu, that his guerrilla approach to it, almost hacking the system of creating something that's hard to defend and deal with. And that's I think the innovative people. Like, let's go back in history. A lot of people don't realize Masoyama was Korean. So his background was Korean martial arts, and he took Shotokan and he made Kyokushin karate, Bruce Lee, even the great Gracie family. It evolved from judo jiu-jitsu to Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I think that's a fun thing. We're in a really cool, creative stage of martial art where retro is going to come back.
I agree, and I think that when you meet guys that know techniques that you didn't know existed and are really good at them, like some of the stuff we were working on earlier today, where most guys can't do that. So when you get a guy that can do that, you go, oh, this is a whole new thing. It opens up all these new doors. And then you'll start to see that. Like, before Anderson Silva landed that front kick to the face on Vitor, we never saw front kicks to the face. Now, every fight you see guys going for that front kick up the middle. It's super common. Wheel kicks. Before Barboza knocked out Terry Edom, I think Seth Petrozelli threw one wheel kick once way back in the day and landed it. Guys have thrown them ineffectively, but when Barboza landed that kick on Edom, woo, it opened up the floodgates. Vitor landed it on Rockhold. I mean, Junior Dos Santos landed on Mark Hunt. Over and over and over again, we're seeing these wheel kicks emerge now, and people realize it's a viable technique. Once you learn Muay Thai, once you learn wrestling, once you learn Jiu-Jitsu, then you're not afraid to stand in front of guys, throw these things. A lot of guys didn't know how to throw those for a while. They thought it was flashy and it didn't work. But when those connect, god damn, most guys get knocked out.
The technique you don't know is the one you lose by, right?
Yes.
It's like that new choke or lock that no one sees that they get tapped to or choked out to. I mean, that's what we're trying to do here with striking as well, is keep innovating, move into the next decade of what's happening. And as well, from fan friendly, I mean, you look at the top 10 knockouts of last year, every year, the top 10 knockouts are always something fun.
Yeah.
It's not a jab.
And I think that also, if you think about like the reason why Taekwondo worked, like it works in a Taekwondo tournament, is because guys weren't allowed to punch the face, they weren't allowed to take you down, and they weren't allowed to leg kick you. That's why Taekwondo guys would stand in front of each other like that, and they would just work on all these crazy kicks. But under those parameters, those kicks would work. Well, those kicks still work once you learn how to defend those other parameters. Punches to the face, takedowns, jiu-jitsu, leg kicks. Once you learn how to defend those, then it sort of opens up the opportunities to have those kicks in as well. But the reality is, most guys don't know those techniques because it's too difficult to pull those techniques off when you're learning wrestling, when you're learning kickboxing. The best way to learn those techniques is actually to learn them in a vacuum. Learn them through straight Taekwondo, where you don't get punched in the face. You learn how to do them, you learn the dexterity, and then when you learn all the techniques of MMA, you already have those in your arsenal. So you have everything else, and then you're like, you know what? I think I could hit this guy in the face with an axe kick. I think I can hit this guy in the face with a wheel kick. He wouldn't know it's coming. He doesn't know what a spinning back kick looks like. He doesn't know what a 360 roundhouse kick looks like. They're not used to it. So it opens up doors if you learn those other techniques, because you learn how to nullify them, or you learn when there's an opening.
Awesome. Thanks again, Joe. This is
my pleasure.
I learned a lot here with you.
And I learn a lot every time I train with you.
Well, it's always collaboration. Actually, Joe showed me a few new submissions. One that's really money I learned a few years ago, he showed me. And then he showed me another cool one. I'm blue belt in jiu-jitsu, but I'm just a humble student, always trying to learn. Until next time, and make sure always tune into the Joe Rogan podcast. It'll change your life.